All right, y'all, we got some big news from within the Republican Party here. We all know that for a while they've been at each other's throats. We had the revolution against Speaker McCarthy that was led by Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert, and there's a lot of infighting among the Republicans. They successfully ousted McCarthy, and this guy, Mike Johnson, took his place. And Mike Johnson was like the fallback. Well, everybody likes Mike. Put Mike in there. He was like their last resort option. But, you know, we knew immediately from when he got the job, there's going to be trouble in paradise very soon. Why? Because the Republican coalition is a coalition you cannot hold together. You have the MAGA types and the non-MAGA types. You also have the people who silently and quietly go about their business. And you have the look at me, social media wannabe star freaks. And it's just not going to work. Now, it's funny because ideologically, these guys agree 98% of, even the moderate conservatives agree with the hardcore MAGA freaks like 98% of the time. So it's not really a policy issue. It's like a grandstanding issue. And so Mike Johnson, is it Mike Johnson? I'm blanking on his name now. That's kind of funny. That's how irrelevant he is. I always say he looks like an AI-generated Republican. Yeah, it is Mike Johnson. And his name sounds like it's AI-generated too. So anyway, who's the one that steps up that tries to oust this guy now from his position? Marjorie Taylor Greene. She files a motion to vacate the chair. MTG will have to call up the resolution for a vote. Look at this picture. They did her dirty with this picture, man. This is quite a picture right here. That's the stuff of nightmares. Marjorie Taylor Greene has officially filed a motion to vacate House Speaker Mike Johnson over her concerns about an omnibus spending bill that is expected to fund the federal government for the remainder of the year. So what happens next? Per Punchbowl News, congressional reporter Jake Sherman, MTG has to go to a mic and call up the resolution. Then the leadership can delay the vote for 2 legislative days. That would put this until after recess 2+ weeks from now. So she's starting the process. She went on Steve Bannon's show and said, this guy sucks. We got to get rid of him. So basically, what's the big sin that he's guilty of? Trying to do the business of Congress. That's it. Like, daring to even have a conversation with somebody on the other side is heresy to her. And look, I have to say, even though she's in Congress, I have no doubt she has no idea how Congress actually works. Neither did Lauren Boebert, neither does Matt Gaetz, right? Like, all the virtue signaling bills they wanted, McCarthy allowed them up for a vote back when he was Speaker, and they didn't get through. And even if they were to get through the House, they would die in the Senate. And so, effectively, they wanted to boot him for daring to have a conversation with the other side and try to get as many wins on their conservative priorities as possible, while also conceding, hey, we don't have control of all the branches of government. We're not going to be able to get all this shit through. Doesn't stop them from morally grandstanding and begging to have the cameras on them and acting like they're the purity crusaders on the right. Okay, so I give you this. Last time this happened, right-wing media was split. You had some in right-wing media agreeing with Gaetz. He's a crusader for conservative ideas. That's why we love him. Half the commentary was that. The other half the commentary was, I don't know, I think Speaker McCarthy's doing all we could ask of him to do. He's playing his hand the best he could. He got dealt the hand he got dealt. It is what it is. He's got to play it as best as he can, and we think he is doing that. So right-wing media was split. This time, they are not split. Here's Laura Ingraham.
Now, I've been in Washington, and this is depressing to report, but 30 years. I have never witnessed what I'm witnessing now. A party with a narrow majority in the House of Representatives, everything on the line in the country, but committing a slow suicide, the party. This is why conservatives call the GOP the stupid party, by the way.
So she's also referring there to the fact that a couple of Republicans, Ken Buck was one, and there was another that stepped down. Now, the Republican majority is 1 seat, which means you don't really have a majority. You don't have a majority. Is there any way you're going to hold every single Republican together on any issue? No, because there's massively different calculations. I mean, if you're a Republican from a purple district, you know, Biden won your state, maybe even won your district, but you ended up winning your congressional race. It's a different calculation for you than if you're in some deep red county in some deep red state. So between people stepping down and now Marjorie Taylor Greene, gunning for the speaker and trying to take him down, Laura Ingram's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So on Fox News, you're going to be stunned by this. This is how they talk about this on Fox News.
Are we going to have another few weeks of trying to elect a speaker, or what happens?
God help us. The House Republican majority is a dysfunctional embarrassment. I mean, Speaker Johnson didn't ask for this job. He stepped up when the House couldn't elect a replacement for Kevin McCarthy. He's trying to manage an unmanageable conference. Republicans need to understand that they control one half of one branch of government, and now they're going to control it by one vote. You can't impose your will on the entire government when you have one half of one branch of government with one vote. The way, if you want, I want to cut spending too. I want to do all these things. If you want to do that, there's a simple way to do it: win elections. Don't nominate lunatics. Get people who can actually win a general election, not just a Republican primary. Take back the Senate. Take back the White House. That's how Biden got the spending through. So that's how, if we want to cut the spending, that's how you get to do it. You can't do it by having this internal chaos.
Don't nominate lunatics, is what he said. Don't nominate lunatics. Okay, that's Fox News gunning for Marjorie Taylor Greene and saying, this is dumb. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Are you trying to lose? Again, a couple more resignations, and then Hakeem Jeffries is speaker. Okay, so now we go to Newt Gingrich. He is perhaps the most aggressive against what Marjorie Taylor Greene and what these psycho House Republicans are doing. And remember, he was Speaker of the House. He was. He knows how these internal dynamics work. He knows how to get stuff done. I don't agree with him politically and ideologically, but he knew how to get shit done. Okay, listen to what he says.
If you were still Speaker, what would you say in response to the people hitting the exits?
Well, I think, first of all, you'd have to have a totally different approach. We shouldn't underestimate how bad what Matt Gaetz did was for the whole system. He unleashed the demons. He went after somebody who had raised $480 million, had gained seats for 3 elections in a row, and he drove Kevin McCarthy out of office. And from that point on, it has been a disaster. I don't blame Johnson. I think Speaker Johnson has a hand that's virtually impossible to play. And that's where I think some of the people just make it worse. This is the best argument I've seen for why we need not only to elect Donald Trump, but to elect a very large majority with him. When I was Speaker, I had a lot more ability than Johnson did to run the House, because I had a big enough majority. You could have 5 or 10 people who were crazy, and you could still govern. He doesn't have a 1-vote majority. The fact is there are 8 or 10 or 12 people who are going to get up every morning voting no. The truth is, they don't even know what they're voting on. All they know when they wake up in the morning is, I'm going to be a no today. So he really has no majority at all. You have to decide. Sooner or later, you're going to realize the bills have been worse since McCarthy was gone. The Democrats are in greater control. The hardliners on the right have done nothing except make it worse. The Freedom Caucus right now has been a disaster in public policy terms. If you think your job in life is to grandstand and complain while the other team runs over you, they're doing a great job.
I mean, Hakeem Jeffries,
Republicans who are in the middle.
Yeah, Newt, Hakeem Jeffries could very well be Speaker of the House in the summer.
God damn, man. God damn. Whoo! He was throwing haymakers in every which direction there. Wow. Look, Newt Gingrich knew how to wield power. That was his whole thing. A conservative crusader who actually could get conservative shit done. He's looking at these clowns now, and what he realizes is that all the infighting and all the moral grandstanding among the Freedom Caucus and those types, it's counterproductive to what they say they want to get done. So what he understands, and what any reasonable person in his position would understand, is that we don't have enough power to get through everything we want to get through right now. So we have to take our wins wherever we can get our wins. And that's Kevin McCarthy felt that way. Mike Johnson, now that he's in this position, he feels the exact same way. And that means, yeah, there are compromises in ways that you really have no choice but to compromise on those things. And if you do that, then the cackling hyena idiot jackals in the corner call you a sellout and grandstand on social media and act like, you're basically a secret liberal. That's what happened with Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert going after Kevin McCarthy. That's now what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing, going after Mike Johnson. And look, honestly, I love to see it. I love to see it because they're never going to get anything done ever if this is the path they go. It's like they don't even have a majority. They've passed fewer bills than maybe any Congress ever because of how dysfunctional they are, because they're incapable of getting on the same page, because many of them don't even understand the basics of how to govern given the position that they're in. And nobody notices that better than Newt Gingrich. So if Newt Gingrich is pissed, that makes me happy because Newt Gingrich knew how to effectively get conservative policy done no matter what the situation was, and if he was in the minority or the majority, or he knew how to play the Game of Thrones and get it done. This is not something that the current crop of social media addicted freaks understands. They know how to morally grandstand and act like they're the most pure and get in the way of any sort of conservative ideology. So, but again, I love those guys. I love the Matt Gaetz. I love the Lauren Boebert. I love now the Marjorie Taylor Greens because they just throw a wrench in the whole shit. They throw a wrench. What guys like Boehner and McConnell and Newt Gingrich knew is they knew how to play the game effectively, and they could get bigger concessions than you would think from Democrats because Democrats are always willing to give Republicans a shitload of what they want, right? These new guys, they don't know what they're doing at all. They don't know. And nobody knows that better than Newt Gingrich. So by all means, Republican Civil War, keep gunning at each other. Because next, it's going to be, oh, Mike Johnson's not pure enough. What, you think the next person, you're not going to immediately have issues with them? You think the next person, oh yeah, I agree with everything this guy did. No. They don't know how to govern. They don't know the way the system works. And the fact of the matter is, one more coup attempt here at the top of the Republican Party, and you could be looking at a Democratic speaker. They only have a one-seat majority, and Lord only knows how many of them can't wait to look for the exits and get the fuck out of there. Probably a bunch of them. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.